A recent proclamation echoed through the political corridors. Former President Donald Trump's pointed words resonated with the fervor of a rallying cry, casting a shadow of doubt over the legacy of the current administration. Just as the country was adjusting to the news of President Joe Biden's intent to seek a second term in 2024, the political landscape was jolted by a barrage of accusations from Trump. He likened Biden's leadership to an amalgamation of historical failings, invoking a comparison to the 5 worst presidents in American history, all wrapped up into one. As the dust settles from Trump's verbal assault and Biden braces for a contested future, one question remains shrouded in uncertainty. Is Joe Biden truly on a path to becoming the worst president in the annals of American history?
The worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
Joe Biden can't speak clearly. He can't think clearly. Joe Biden is the worst president in the history of our country.
That's why I'm running for re-election.
Chapter 1. The Dynamics of the USA Presidency. The United States, renowned as the land of opportunities, boasts not only economic prowess, but also a vibrant political landscape. The office of the president stands as the cornerstone of the American political system, embodying the highest authority and leadership. The president serves as both head of state and head of government, entrusted with executing and enforcing the nation's laws. The U.S. operates on a two-party system, with the Democratic and Republican parties reigning supreme for over 2 centuries. Their policies have sculpted the nation's course. While the Democrats lean liberal and the Republicans lean conservative, nuances abound within each party, creating a diverse tapestry of opinions. Congress, comprising the Senate and the House of Representatives, wields substantial influence over national policies. The Senate, with 2 members from each state, and the House of Representatives, with 435 members distributed by state population, contribute to policy shaping. Democrats advocate interventionist economics and greater social programs, while Republicans favor limited government intervention and more laissez-faire economics. On environmental issues, Democrats champion more regulation, while Republicans advocate for less. The U.S. presidency and political parties form a complex, ever-evolving system. Presidential elections occur through the Electoral College, comprising 538 electors. Winning candidates must secure a majority of 270 electoral votes. In 2020, Democratic candidate Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. triumphed over incumbent President Donald Trump. Biden's campaign focused on COVID-19, the economy, race relations, and gun violence. He inherited a divided nation reeling from the pandemic, unemployment, and strained race relations. Now, over 900 days since Biden's inauguration, we're faced with evaluating his tenure. From healthcare to foreign relations, his policies and actions are under scrutiny. As the 2024 presidential race looms, the cycle of accusations and imputations begins anew. Chapter 2. Sense of devotion to duty. Joe Biden stands as a seasoned figure with an extensive political career. As the oldest president in American history, he took office after serving as vice president from 2009 to 2017 under President Barack Obama, and earlier represented Delaware in the Senate from 1973 to 2009. His presidency commenced on January 20, 2021, marked by an inauguration ceremony in Washington, D.C. This marked the official start of his tenure, during which he promptly introduced a comprehensive national strategy to combat COVID-19. The plan, spanning 200 pages, earned praise for its thoughtful design and was considered a significant departure from the previous administration's approach. While strides were made in vaccine distribution, challenges emerged, including addressing vaccine hesitancy and navigating the complex U.S. public health system. Despite progress, disparities persisted, and international aid efforts faced scrutiny. Amid the pandemic's grip on the nation, President Biden also prioritized economic recovery and infrastructure reform. The U.S. economy faced historic downturns in the early stages of the pandemic, with GDP plummeting by 8.9%. However, Biden's leadership ushered in robust economic growth, culminating in 2021's GDP growth outpacing records set since 1984. Aiming to address the climate crisis, President Biden rejoined the Paris Agreement and established the National Climate Task Force, focusing on ambitious targets for clean energy and emissions reduction. However, executing these goals entails navigating political and industrial challenges, particularly concerning labor unions' concerns and shifting towards renewable energy sources. Biden's presidency also saw in diplomacy, national security, and economic support during crises. Yet, despite his dedicated efforts, there are critical voices evaluating his performance as the worst president. Some argue that his approach to immigration has been inadequate, with both liberal and conservative critics voicing concerns. Additionally, critiques point to his foreign policy decisions, including his approach to Afghanistan, which faced a tumultuous withdrawal of troops. Evaluations of Biden's economic policies vary, with proponents highlighting the strong post-pandemic recovery, while opponents express concerns about rising inflation rates and increased government spending. Others take issue with his management of the southern border crisis and the subsequent increase in illegal border crossings. While supporters commend his dedication to reversing the policies of the previous administration and addressing pressing issues, such as climate change and systemic inequality, these criticisms underscore the complexity of leadership and the diversity of perspectives within the American populace. As the nation grapples with multifaceted challenges, the evaluation of Joe Biden's presidency remains a topic of ongoing debate and analysis. Chapter 3: Examining Presidency Critiques. From economic decisions to foreign policy pivots, the criticisms directed at Biden's presidency are as diverse as they are intense. Foreign policy balancing. President Biden's approach to foreign policy has received mixed reviews. While he has worked to mend relationships with allies, his administration's response to international challenges like the Afghanistan withdrawal has raised concerns about the execution of his strategies. President Joe Biden is struggling against an intensifying examination of his judgment, competence, and even his empathy over the chaotic U.S. exit from Afghanistan.
It's time for American troops to come home.
The president had repeatedly pledged the withdrawal from the country's longest war would be orderly, deliberate, and safe, and that there were no circumstances that Afghanistan would suddenly fall to the Taliban. But in the ABC News interview, he changed tack, saying there was no way the U.S. could have left without chaos ensuing, and that such scenes were always baked into the decision to get all troops out this year. Immigration challenges. President Joe Biden is coming under sustained pressure from both sides of the aisle over the administration's handling of the expiration of Title 42, the controversial Trump-era pandemic public health restriction that became a key tool to turn back migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. Title 42 was a public health order established early on in the pandemic with the aim of preventing the spread of COVID-19, and it allowed authorities to swiftly expel migrants at U.S. land borders. The government under President Joe Biden has both defended and been critical of Title 42, but officials now say they must enforce it while the legal battles play out, even as Biden said, "I don't like Title 42." The plan announced last week will utilize Title 42 and other methods like the standard authority under Title 8 to send as many as 30,000 unauthorized Haitians, Cubans, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans to Mexico each month. Inflation problems. The unpredicted and unwelcome return of rapid price increases has reshaped the political landscape with stark consequences for the Biden agenda. The American people now believe that inflation is the most important issue facing the economy and the country, and they don't think that President Biden is paying attention to it. The Biden administration remained publicly hopeful about inflation until developments in recent months made its optimism untenable. In a recent CBS YouGov survey, 58% of Americans said that Biden wasn't focusing enough on the economy, and even more, 65% said this about inflation. This explains why so many Americans disapprove of his economic performance and why it is undermining his presidency. The evaluation of President Joe Biden's tenure is multifaceted, reflecting the intricate nature of modern American politics. As the country navigates the challenges and opportunities of the 21st century, Biden's presidency encapsulates both commendable achievements and areas of concern. President Biden is a complex figure who has both strengths and weaknesses. He is a dedicated public servant who is committed to doing his job to the best of his ability. However, he has also been criticized for his handling of certain issues. Only time will tell how he will be judged by history. What do you think about it? Give your opinion in the comments section. And if you think you have learned something, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to never miss the truth around you.